I'm studying Genesis 1, and I'm at the very beginning, and I realize, okay, this is sounding a lot like Enuma Elish, right? So Enuma Elish is the creation story of the Babylonians. And what I realized is that these priests who were coming out of oppression after 70 years in Babylon were now writing down their creation story as they were beginning to ask the question of how should they now rule after having been oppressed for 70 years. But in the answering of it, what they're doing is they're making commentary on the creation story through the writing of their own. They're making commentary on the creation story of the Babylonians. So the Babylonian and the Babylonian story, Enuma Elish, the gods live in the water. They live in the river. And it all starts, they actually fight for domination over each other. And Tiamat, is actually taken down by Marduk, and it's in the water that that the powers live in Babylon. Well, in our Genesis story, there's only one God, and God is apart from creation, and the Spirit of God is hovering where? Over the water. And I thought, oh my gosh, the Spirit of God is hovering over the deep. The deep, and it actually, even if you do a direct translation of that word deep, it actually means chaos. In fact, it could be directly translated into, don't mind me saying, urine. It's really bad. It's like, this is bad stuff, right? And then you have the darkness. The face of the earth is covered with darkness. This is chaos. It's pain. It is destruction. It is all of the mess that those priests and the people of God had encountered in Babylon for 70 years. So is it possible that the deep itself, that the darkness, that those first verses in Genesis 1 are really, they are commentary on the condition of the Israelites as they're coming out of Babylon. And it's a time of darkness and chaos. And it's because of the powers in Babylon. But in the beginning, God. And in the middle of all this darkness, the Spirit of God is hovering over the deep. And that word hover is actually, it doesn't just mean, God's like hanging out over the deep. No, what it means is that it's like God is almost like fluttering, like a hen flutters over a hen's eggs, like ready to act, ready to give birth. And so, God's about to act. God is ready to pounce. And that pouncing, that action, what does it look like? It looks like giving birth. It looks like giving new life. And so God says, let there be light. And there is. And God cuts the darkness. God limits the darkness, doesn't do away with it, which is really interesting. We still have darkness in the world. But that darkness is limited by light. And God then creates land and separates the sea, the deep, the place where the powers of Babylon lived. And he limits the deep by creating land. He puts boundaries on the deep. He doesn't do away with it. Again, the deep is still there. Even the sea monsters are still there in Genesis 1. The thing that the Hebrews themselves feared the most are still there. But yet God says, that is good. It is good. The relationships are still good. And I believe it's good because God is there. So for me, as somebody who is, I have so many what they call intersections of identity in myself. I'm a woman. I am a straight woman. I am a Christian. I am African American. And so as an African American woman in particular, these are two people groups that have been oppressed. I look at this text and I wept because I thought, the deep does not overcome. The darkness does not overcome. God in Genesis 1 cuts the darkness, limits it. Therefore, I have hope. I have hope because God is. Because God is out for our good and does not allow us to be overcome by the darkness. And I was thinking about those priests coming out of the Babylonian rule, and I realized they went through 70 years swimming in the deep with those little g gods. And in the Babylonian understanding of creation, they believed that humans were created to be slaves of the gods, literally. And so they're coming out from that. And it hit me that for them, God limited the darkness. God put a boundary on that darkness. They lived in it, but there was a boundary to it. It ended. So I have hope.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. Though darkness should buffet, though trial should come, let this blessed assurance control, that Christ has regarded my helpless estate, and has shed his own blood for my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. My sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought, my sin not in part but the whole, Praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when the faith shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back as a scroll, the trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul.